No big surprise here. And I think you're going to get a steady and heavy dose of this. And most of you are fine with it. I'm not. But the commissioner of the SEC conference wants to go, and I believe is probably already doing it behind the scenes. He would like to go scorched earth on the college football playoff. That's not all bad, but the reasoning behind it is predictably selfish. He's initially going, and I think there's going to be more to this, and I think it's going to come all the time. I told you in the beginning about this playoff. There is no way the SEC is not going to get it exactly the way it wants the playoff. That's why he's going scorched earth. He's going first scorched earth on first round buys in the college football playoff. His name is Greg Sankey, and he wants to end first round buys. I think he's throwing that hand grenade first, and then going to see what happens with that, and then probably going scorched earth on the rest of the tournament also. And I think he's going to get a lot of props for that because he has an entire network with a sign above my head that's cool with that. So he's got a partner in this that's going to be perfectly fine with him going scorched earth. I don't think you, the fans, should be cool with it. I really don't. So it's going to be a simmering issue. It's a simmering issue. Was a few months ago. It is now. And I think it's going to pick up steam. And it'll go all the way through next fall until the SEC and ESPN get exactly what they want. And that is everybody they want into the tournament. I would argue even if they don't deserve it. And a lot of them don't. So, okay, the reason he wants to do this now and go scorched earth now on the first round of the tournament, the 12-team tournament that had its first real run this past year, is that he wants more SEC teams in the 12-team tournament. I think the 12-team tournament's going to be 16 or more pretty soon to pacify him. The SEC had 3 last year, as we all know, and people in the South where college football is like NASCAR were screaming and yelling. 3 teams, I think, was a fair result. The SEC did not, and that's why he's going scorched earth. What he wants now and going forward, and don't be shocked if he gets his wish. In fact, I would say don't be shocked if they get everything they want. But he wants a committee to look at the teams, just like they've been doing, and not have 3 or 4 of them locked in. Okay? He and everybody in the South, even though Alabama really wasn't that good, everybody in the South was freaked out. It was people were outraged that only 3 teams got in. But he wants to be able to say, and most ESPN talking heads are going to agree, he's going to get a lot of people supporting this. But he wants to say, he wants that committee to say, okay, a 2 or 3 loss Clemson team, go back to a year ago, or Arizona State, go back to a year ago, doesn't deserve to be in the tournament. That's what he wants them to say. Okay? And then what he wants everyone to realize, and he'll get plenty of help by ESPN, a blue blood SEC team does. So, oh my gosh, the SMUs of the world, the Arizona States of the world, even Clemson recently, no, they're not blue bloods. They don't deserve to be in. Look at our big name and our history. So we deserve to be in. That's the way it needs to be going forward. That's exactly what he wants. And since college football is really about reputations and brands and history, most people are going to agree with him. I don't, by the way. I don't. And I think it's a mistake. And I think it's myopic, and I think ultimately you're out looking for the SEC and getting a bunch of people supporting you, and you're going to shrink that sport down. And what should have been a sport looking more like the NFL with more big ratings is going to shrink down to being basically a Southern sport. I think it's a terrible mistake, but he doesn't care. So the SEC commissioner only cares about his league and his TV deal. That's it. Fans, I think, should care about a lot more. I think you should want a lot more. You should want interesting storylines. You should want underdogs. You should want as much variety as possible. All right. So I know you're going to say, but Jeff, look, I mean, these four conference champions all lost in the first round of last year's tournament. See, Jeff? And other than Arizona State, they all lost in round one pretty badly. Arizona State, by the way, went to overtime against an SEC school. That's Texas. We all know that. So the SEC deserved to get these teams in. The proof is already in for year one. This is a terrible idea. These teams get their face kicked in. It's not worth doing again. So put more blue bloods in and everybody will be fine. That's really what he wants. And I think the network above my head probably wants that as well. And I think they're probably going to get it. Fans should want a lot more. You really should. I would think it gets pretty boring. But maybe you don't care. Maybe fans just don't care at all. You want it to be a regional sport, and that's about it. So here's the deal. Here's why I don't think you should want what he wants. Because I think the first scorched earth plan is to say, do away with these first-round buys or else. And what I think they're going to say after or else is, you know what? Don't you fight with us, Big 12. Don't you fight with us, ACC. You nobodies, you better back off. ESPN, you tell them to back off. And then what he's going to say next is, you know what? Make it a 16-team tournament and give us 4 or 5 teams, period, every time. Do it now. Write it into the rules or else. We're going to go even more scorched earth. So I think that's where this thing is going to play out. The reason why I don't think you should want this, okay? One, winning a conference championship should come with a reward. Winning a conference championship should mean something. You water this thing down even further, these conference championships become completely irrelevant. I think it's a mistake. I do. I don't think you should want that. A first-round bye in hosting a game should be incentive. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's something you talk about all year long. You know why we know that? Because that's what happens in the NFL. Now, college football screwed it up. They screw up most things. But it should be an incentive. And unless you want those championships to just be nothing, you're just in a round-robin tournament all year long trying to play for showcase yourself in front of some stupid committee, which you already know if you're the SEC, you're going to get 4 or 5 teams in, then it waters down what a conference championship should be. Then you've pretty much ruined the leagues themselves outside of the SEC, and I guess you could say the Big Ten. Okay? One, I don't think you want that. I don't. I think you want the incentives. I think you want the championship to mean something. I think you should want the bye to mean something. It does in the NFL. Two, if you take away incentive, conference championships are completely watered down. And they really become nothing more than a day of Dr. Pepper commercials. They've become that now, and we laugh it off. But it gets even more so the minute you take out the importance of winning the league because it's a bye. And number 3, I don't think the viewing public is served with only a 2-team league. And that's what they're really angling for. I've told you all along, they're going to run off and leave everyone else. And I guess in the South, you're fine with that. But I don't think it makes for good viewing. I don't think it's that interesting. You know how we know that? The NFL proves it. The NFL proves it. Right? Some divisions, some years are bad. But we're watching more than ever. The NFL proves it. You're going, well, college football is not like the NFL. Viewing habits are viewing habits. Do you want more of the country to watch or less of the country to watch? And I think the answer back is less. Just stick it in the South. We're cool with that. That's what he's saying my job is. I think it's a huge mistake. And I think he's not going to let up on this. And I think he started now and going to keep pushing this until if he doesn't get the answer he wants on this, I think they're going to throw a hand grenade and say, you're going to make it a 16-team tournament. You're going to give us whatever we want and whoever we want in. And that's going to be an automatic 5 teams. The SEC wasn't that good 5 deep. And I don't think it's going to continue to be that good 5 deep because it can't keep up economically. The SEC is starting to cut itself off and be very, very narrow, and it's going to suffer the economic consequences. Not the money coming in from TV, but in a world of sugar daddy economics, it's a liability. Right? Look, the problem with college football in the playoff, okay, the problem with the playoff is not first round buys and or incentive. The problem with the playoff is the idiotic scheduling. I mean, look, do I think some of the first round teams were better than their opponents? No. But I tell you what we do know, if you wait 30 days to play a game, you're not very good then. They all started off terribly, each one of them. So problem number one is scheduling, and number two is having a committee at all. Having one at all. I don't know why you, the fans, like that, and I don't know why the networks like that. You should hate it, and I think the network should hate it. And this guy is wanting more of it, and he's wanting more of it so it can turn into, it's like figure skating. Seems to me to be sort of self-centered and corrupt. So you're just performing for a committee? That's all this sport is, really? Just to put on a show for a committee. Just to make a bunch of noise about how Alabama historically is great and all this stuff. They won a bunch of championships. It's really, he's going to render it nothing more than a showcase and a show for judges to select. That's exactly what the NFL is not. That, bottom line, is what I think is wrong. That committee concept is a terrible idea, that you're no better than figure skating. That's a weird comparison, I know, but I kind of like it.
Hey, Austin, Jeff Ward here, and I never thought I'd be in an accident and need a personal injury attorney. And then sure enough, less than a mile from my house, I was blindsided. I was injured. My world was turned completely upside down. I called DJC Law and their team took care of everything. I got the best result possible. Don't just take my word for it. They have over 1,000 five-star reviews. So if you're injured, call 512-888-9999 and get your justice at teamjustice.com.